Absolutely.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, a lot of parents, not a lot, but several people call me up and say, hey, can you represent the mother and the father? No, can't do that. There's a conflict of interest. Generally, there's a conflict, and there's definitely, a potential conflict. Now, in rare occasions, I have seen attorneys represent both parents. In my humble opinion, that's not a good idea, but I just, as a practice, and my lawyers at my firm, we don't do that. It's just a rule.
Okay.
Okay. Let's take another call. Candy from Central California. Candy, did you have a story to tell or a question to ask?
Yes, I do. My family, my daughter was, they took away her rights. So I'd like to know, as a grandparent, and the judge does not seem, are you still there, Vincent?
I'm listening, Candy.
Oh, I'm sorry, the judge seems to, throw me out under the bus, every time. I think it is because that I fought with, not that I fought, but I stood up for my children, like CPS workers and the social worker. I don't know. My heart's beating so fast.
Well, wait. Are you the mother of the children, or the grandmother, or aunt?
I'm the grandmother, the maternal grandmother.
Okay.
I have fought for all of my grandchildren. I have 3 of the girls with me. I've been given guardianship. Mm-hmm. So now what I'm doing is I'm getting my house approved to add 1 more child and to get it re-inspected by the RFA social worker.
How many grandchildren are there?
There's 4 total, and then so I have 3 granddaughters that I have custody or guardianship of. Mm-hmm. 1 grandson that they did a 2-6 hearing, and the judge is adopting everything that the social workers have recommended. We watched the hearing on a Zoom meeting, my granddaughters and I. They have my grandson on the stand, and he's 9 years old. The mother's attorney asked him these eggshell questions, and they asked him if he knew what adoption meant. My grandson is under medication. And it's unbelievable to me what's really happening, because they're really stealing my grandson. And to say I have no rights, and one of their reasons was because, again, I didn't have enough room in my home. Another one was because of some insinuation that I was abusive to him. And then another one was that it would be overwhelming. So all these reasons. And I asked the social worker who lied on the stand, I asked her, I said, how can you give me 3 granddaughters and you have an accusation that I was abusive to my grandson?
What did the social worker say?
Oh, it's just procedures. That's how they had to word it in order to get it. It was BS what she said.
Right.
But, what can I do?
Well, if you already have 3 of the children and about to get a 4th, I'm going to be hard-pressed to give you an explanation as to why the social worker wouldn't give you the boy. Now, there are a lot of things come to my mind, some legal, some not legal. But, if you have 3 of the children, it just seems they just have to give you the 4th. That seems this, in my opinion, and I'm not always right, but in my opinion, that's the spirit of the law.
Right. Well,
the United States Supreme Court said in a famous case that the family is the fabric of our society. And in other words, we have to do everything to keep the family together. And in a lot of these cases, I see that not happening for various reasons. And sometimes they are legitimate reasons. Sometimes they're not. A lot of times they're not. Or at least people aren't sharing with me the real reasons why, for example, they won't give your grandson back to you. There are things that you can do. If you file paperwork to get your grandchild, and if it was denied, you can appeal that to a higher court. You can appeal it to the Court of Appeals. You can appeal that, if you still lose, to the California Supreme Court. You could theoretically appeal this all the way to the United States Supreme Court. Additionally, if you think there has been wrongdoing by the social worker, you should talk to a civil rights attorney there may be some type of lawsuit against, the county that you're in, and I won't mention it, but, I know just from personal experience or personal knowledge, your county has been sued many times regarding, and I'm sure I don't even know all the cases regarding violation of civil rights.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
Well,
those are the things that you should think about doing, and think about. If you'd like to call me, please give me a call at 888-888-6582. That's 888-888-6582. And call me tomorrow, and we'll talk more in depth about your case, Candy. Candy, I want to thank you for calling, and I want to thank you for listening. Call us back in a couple months and give us an update. Cynthia, do you hear that story a lot on your show?
I have heard that story, yes. And I have a question for you. You said that you had a couple different reasons why you wouldn't place the boy with the girls. Can I ask why?
Well, if I said
Like,
that, that was a mistake. I said there may be reasons that
Right.
I don't know about.
Oh, okay. I thought you said that you had a couple of reasons.
If I said that, I misspoke.
Okay.
If they weren't giving this child to the grandmother, I hope there's a legitimate reason, and maybe somebody can explain it to the grandmother. But she said she had 3 of the children, and that
Right.
she's about to get a 4th one.
Yep.
But you won't give her the boy, the grandson. That is the
I've
type
heard-
of thing that I don't understand.
Right. And I've heard a very similar story where the grandmother has custody or guardianship, whatever the word is, fostering some of the grandkids of the same parents, but 2 of the other grandkids of the same parents are in the foster system.
Right.
So I hear stuff like this all the time. It doesn't make any sense to me.
The only thing I can think of is social engineering by the social worker or the social services. That's the only thing I can think of. I mean, if there's a legitimate reason, these people should be told why you can take 3 or 4 of the children, but you can't have the 5th one.
Well, it's the same thing as to why they would allow a parent to have one child but not another one.
Right. No, it's the same logic. I used to have, many years ago, almost 30 years ago, I used to do court-appointed work. And I was assigned to a courtroom for many of those years to a judicial officer that used to say, if they're not a danger to one child, then they're not a danger to all of the children. In about 99.9% of the scenarios, I mean, that would hold true in my mind, just using common sense. But, how could you give someone, 1 or 2 children and say, oh, you can't have the 3rd or 4th? What is that about?
Right.
I just don't see it. Cynthia, we have to take another break and pay some bills. We'll be back with more calls, more questions. This is The Secret, How to Fight CPS and Win.